Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Goose Garage. To all those who are watching my videos, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Now, the question may be asked, what is under the sheet? Well, my engine. I finally got it back together. I've been doing little bits and pieces here and there, as I've explained many times. So nothing really worth videoing. It's been a very long, slow process, but it's finally back together. I just got to put the gearbox, which is over there, cleaned it up. So flywheel, clutch, gearbox, bolted all back together, and hopefully tomorrow she'll be sitting back in the ute. Anyway, I'm going to bring you for a bit of a close-up. Alright, so here she is. I'm going with the black and copper. So I've got some eBay headers, I've wrapped them. Don't really know if it's purposeful in a stock NA engine, but I wrapped them because race car, and they look cool. I've painted the rocket cover a copper, and I've shaved off all the unnecessary bolt holes and everything that come with it. I just wanted that smoother look. I mean, it's not the best job, but it is what it is, and I'm proud of it, and that's what matters, right? I'm proud of what I've done, what I've built. So everything semi-new, harmonic balancer new, water pump new, timing kit, so timing chain, balancer chain. I have taken the thermostat off because that there, which is where the temperature sensor sits, wasn't quite big enough for my aftermarket one to go with my gauge, so I have drilled it out. I just got to tap it. Rocket cover, sorry, not rocket cover, intake chamber, intake plenum. There's black with the copper through it. You can see that, it looks nice. If you come around this side and look at it from the dark side, it just looks black. I like it. That there is the fuel pressure regulator adapter. So I've taken the factory one off and I'm going to run an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator because race car. It's not really a race car, but you know, we all like to dream. I've got all new water lines, so I replaced every single water line on here. I've got the two heater hoses, new heater hoses for that, so they'll go in once it is back in the ute. Anyway, I say anyway a lot. I noticed that a lot, and so I do apologize. It's something I'm going to work on. Yeah. So today, what am I doing? I am putting the sump back on because the bolts that were in it were shit. Some were broken, it was missing them, so I've gone out and bought all new little bolts for that. So join me on my journey while I do that. Okay, so just going to clean up the surface that the sump pan will make up to, and yeah, you get to sticking it down. Now, I am going to use a bit of gasket goo. I do not believe that this should be the gasket. This is just a sealant to, I don't know, fill in the gap of any slight imperfections. The last person who pulled this motor apart had other thoughts, and it looked like there was an entire caulking gun tube of silicone on this. I've chucked up some before and after photos of that. I should have filmed that just as a short. It was atrocious. The pile of silicone I had on the bench was like nothing I've ever seen. All the silicone that I just scraped off the sump. There was no gasket between the sump and the block. Looks like they used a whole fucking tube of silicone on it. Anyway, just a thin smear. Also just a thin smear because you really don't want any of this going through into your engine bay, getting stuck in your oil pickup, which is what had happened with the last person who did this. There was a lot of it smeared over the top. I think what had happened is they used a whole lot here, then they used a whole lot on the bottom of the oil pan, and then they went like this, and as they put the oil pan over, they grazed it, and there was just like a quarter of this was covered. And silicone. Got my brand new gasket. I think it goes that way, or does it go that way? Oh, shit. It goes that way. Now, a nice painted sunpan. It is a bit dusty. Before this all goes back into the ute, I am going to give it a bit of a dust up. Now this was bent and wobbly, which is probably why the last person put a ton of silicone on it. But I'm just going to use a little bit and let the gasket do its job. So we'll see once I get oil in this and it gets pressure if my theory is correct. And if it isn't correct, well then I'm pulling the motor again, which is the last thing I want. This build has been 7 months in the making. So the last thing I want to do is pull this motor out again. Quite frankly, it's the last thing my wife wants me to do as well. She wants this done just as much as I do. I want this done because then once I've actually finished the fixing, I can get to modifying. Because that's been fun, that's right. Fixing cars is no fun. Modifying cars is where it's at. Alright. And over she goes. Okay. So I don't know if that gasket was shrunk or if it's meant to be pulled out to size, but some of these holes don't line up. That's fine. We'll use a screwdriver to pry it into place, I'll get the corners locked in, and then we'll work our way around. I bought myself some new sump pan bolts just because you can't even see it on the camera while I'm showing you, they're so small. Just because the last ones, there was like 4 missing from the front, and so because there was 4 missing, I didn't have a full set for them, and I wanted a full set, so I went out and bought some new ones. Now they're little hex nut ones, so I've got the bolt and I've got some washers for them. Anyway, alright, so I've put in the 4 corners. I just wanted to get them done off camera just in case I fumbled up, but I didn't, so it's all good. So there you go, so just go around, lock them all in. Here's the, there are they? There, just little M6 10mm, same thread as the original, just hex bolt instead. Some people may question why am I going to so much effort to make an old truck look pretty. Different bolts, painted the gearbox, painted the sump pan. Why? Because it's my build and I want to. Now, if you're watching this, then clearly you must like mini trucks, or you like watching someone who has no idea what they're doing, and it's amusing. But in terms of the car scene, I think we should all respect each other's builds no matter what. Whether it's a person's first car and they've gone out and they've put a Canon exhaust on a automatic stock Honda Civic, it may not be what you like, but to that person it is the most awesome car in the world, and we need to respect that. There's far too much hate going on in the car scene. People bagging on other people's rides just because it's something that they themselves wouldn't build. But the fact is, someone has bought that car, put a bit of effort into, a bit or even a lot of effort into doing something to that car to make it their own. So no matter what someone's building, we do not have the right to judge that person based on their car. You know? As the saying goes, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. If someone builds a car you don't like, just keep scrolling. That's the beautiful thing about nowadays. You don't like something, you just keep scrolling. Yeah? But what I am down for is constructive criticism. If you see me doing something that's not quite right, let me know. But don't just tell me I'm doing it wrong. Let me know how I can do it better. I'm always down for that, especially when it comes to cars, because really I don't want to blow my car up. So if I've done something wrong and someone can see it, tell me before it's too late. Hell, I'm probably doing this wrong. I don't know. I'm just using a little bit of common sense, I suppose. Anyway, that's 10 out of the 24 bolts that go into this thing. I think it's 24, I don't know. I'll come back when I'm done. Alrighty, there she is. Nice little hex nuts, hex bolts, whatever you want to call them. Man, I'm so stoked to get this thing back together. See, look. That silicone should just be a nice thin bead that seals everything together. Should not be bulging out. Oof. Alright, let's get this thing flipped back around off the engine stand and onto the engine crane and get the clutch on it.